Hey guys, how's it going? As we close out Men's Mental Health Month, I want to talk about a few different things that's been on my mind. So nothing too, on the agenda. I'm just going to let it speak. So one thing I've been thinking about a lot, we talk about depression, mental health crisis in general, and especially with men. Now, one of the biggest things that people tell men is they need to open up more, show more emotion. And I'm going to touch on what I think about all of that. But let's go over some numbers, right? So, when it comes to mental health issues, we all deal with that. But when it comes to something as finite as suicide, men by far outrank women. Now, this is obviously not a flex because it's something wishfully no one would go through, but sadly, it is an occurrence. So, statistically speaking, if you heard news of someone taking their own life, there's an 80% chance that that person was a man. So one in five men. But it's not necessarily about, oh, it's worse for men. That's not what this is about because it can come off that way a lot of times. I know people in the red pill or manosphere, it turns into like a men versus women thing. And I'm not going to get into all of that. But to address an elephant in the room is why is this? People, like I said, often you need to open up more, show emotion. But I would beg to differ that the issue is not showing emotion, but what are the emotions that society allows? Because when people say you're emotional, majority of the time when we talk about being emotional, it's about being sad or moody or feeling kind of down. That's one emotion. Fear is an emotion that's also associated a lot with I'm scared of what's going to happen. And a lot of these traits, you can call it what you want, sexist, they don't usually align with men and masculinity. Doesn't mean men don't get sad. That's not true at all. It definitely doesn't mean men don't get scared. It just means there's a different allowance, I would say, because you can say, oh, we should show that. But we got to realize reality adheres to what's shown and not what's optimistically proposed, right? So what I mean by that is we can tell a man cry. And I'm be real with you. There's nothing wrong with crying. Trust me, everyone on earth has cried. Now, who you cry in front of, though, I will caution that may make a difference. And it sucks to have to say that. But I think that's the problem. We need to admit that you cannot cry in front of everyone. And frequency of crying, all that matters. We got to play that card because realistically, if a man who's a leader of a family, leader of a relationship, was always crying, there would be some respect lost. People don't want to hear that. But these are part of the problems. We got to address where that. But if you do need to cry or need to let it out, be around someone you can trust. And typically it's your male friends. So the whole don't show emotions, that's not true. There's plenty of men who have cried or let their emotions out to people who they trust. But then that asks another question. Does the person or the man you say isn't showing emotion, and I guess it's indirectly towards the ladies, but it could be towards men too, because men have friends and brothers. But do they trust you? That's something you want to ask yourself. I want you to really sit there, especially if you have a significant other that's a man and you're a woman. Think about that. Does your man trust you with this emotions? And sadly, it may not be a good thing to hear, but a lot of it is no. And it's not because they don't love you or care about you. It's because they can't be sure what you would do with it if they showed it to you. And that's what it really comes down to because a lot of times people say, oh, men need to open up more, but we do. For this weird narrative that we don't open up or share our problems, men definitely share their problems. It's usually just seen as why are you complaining, right? Or if you're complaining, get over it. We minimize people's problems in general, right? And that's not even just a man-woman thing. Who's ever said, man, I'm really having a tough time, and someone responds with, well, it could always be worse. I hate that because it dismisses what you're going through right now. And like I said, everyone deals with that. Everyone's probably had that happen to them at least once or twice in their life. But as men, that happens a lot more frequently. It definitely does. And it's just part of culture. And it doesn't even matter if American culture, European culture, Asian culture, men are held to a different standard. And that's life. So it's not about, oh, who has the worst or crying. I think that's expected as men. And that's in kind of like the code of what we know. Like every man knows that's in there. Some, it affects them a little bit more. And this, I guess, comes full circle back to the whole suicide topic. Because when you can't release that pressure and everything's building up, because going back to gender roles, people don't like to adhere to those, but they still exist. If the man has to be the one that the family leans on, the wife leans on, the younger siblings lean on, other people lean on, who do they then lean on? And you can argue, oh, what about their friends? True. I definitely have some great friends who I can lean on, and I have two brothers who I can lean on. So I'm very fortunate. But guess what? They're leaning too. So it's kind of hard. So when we think about that, and people talk about why men don't open up or don't share, or depression, suicide, you gotta think, what's going on? I wrote a song a few years ago called Whiskey. It was about this topic. And people say it's a morbid, dark topic, but it's life. And ironically, the end of it saying that. And one of the lines I said, you're only worth what you can offer. They're only down for you when you lower it in that coffin. And I say that because if you don't bring the value, you tend to not get much reciprocation from the world. And in general, not women. Like I said, I don't want to make this a red pill thing, but it kind of intricately veers there. But the world, if I do not bring value, the world lets me know. And that's one thing that mostly women, children, elderly, and young boys, I guess that's children, don't really got to deal with, because you're afforded the right that if you're not able to, it's okay. Or if you're not able to, someone will help you. For a lot of times, not always, I'm not saying this is a extreme, but most of the time, it's expected for you as a man, just figure it out. There's no grace for you. These sounds very morbid, but I want to keep it real. Like, think about, I think, psychology. A lot of people confuse, and that's why I love this industry, but hate it at the same time. People can misconstrue psychology about needing to be told the things that help you, and that just means that they're going to feel good, or they're just going to be the things that you want to hear. Not even just feel good, that you want it. You might say it's going to feel bad, but I want to hear this. But a lot of times it's not. And realistically speaking, telling a man or a young man it's just all going to be great, it's all going to be right, is disingenuous, because when he faces that real uphill battle, he's not going to be prepared. And guess what? These boys become men. And these men get to these issues and don't know how to cope. Because depression is not the problem. Everyone gets depressed. Everyone has hard times. That's not dismissive. It's just true. But why do certain people commit it when they're living a quote unquote the best life, and some when they have nothing? Because it's not just about that. And another thing with mental health people disregard as well, and I don't make this all about the mental health industry, is that it's more than just getting therapy or trying to have the right affirmations or right productive thoughts. That's part of it, sure. But if the people you're still surrounded by, I would argue, this isn't in the literature I know of, maybe it is, but I would argue it's even more imperative that the people that you're around have to get on the board with what you're doing. Think about that. You can go to therapy 2 times a week, do all the right affirmation, all the productive thinking, but if you walk into a social circle where everyone puts you back down, what does it even matter? Because, like I said, that 80% number isn't going down, it's only rising. And we're just talking about America. There's other places too. So what do we do, right? I don't like giving these morbid talks without a solution, but there's something maybe y'all can think about in general, men, women, young, old. If a man in your life tells you something, and regardless if you like it, don't like it, want to hear it, don't hear it, and it's something that's deprecating to them or really weighing on them, the worst thing you can do is dismiss it, give them platitudes or pseudo motivation or confidence, or add more to it and make it about you. Because guess what? Duly noted, he will probably not open that up again. People argue, why don't men open up? They do. It just doesn't come in the form you like it. When men get angry or scared, they're not probably going to cry. They're probably not going to mope. If they whine or do a version of that, it's going to come in the form of problem solving whining. You know what I mean? Like, guys know what I'm talking about. It basically means you're going to talk out the problem, be like, dang, this sucks. But while talking about it, you're going to give ways to get better. But if you dismiss it or ignore what they're saying and make it about you, you lost them and you're probably never going to get it back. And if you do get it back, they're going to be more weary and reluctant to share with you. So these are things that I'm talking about. Like I said, it's more of a candid conversation, because if you look at the overall spectrum of things getting worse in men's mental health, it starts with, how do you treat men? If we treat them as expendable, disposable, don't be mad when they see themselves the same exact way. Don't cry for them after. Going back to the song, don't cry for them after. I said in the same song, do you really want to know when you ask how I'm doing? Because most men go through life, don't get asked too much about their day-to-day life. They don't get told they're handsome. They don't get gifts. There's always jokes about Father's Day, what gifts suck for Father. Not to be funny, but there's some truth to those stereotypes, right? But this is a thing. If we don't feel like we're important, even though we know our role is to provide, protect, do the best for the people around us. There's countless stories of men throwing themselves in front of danger to save not only family members, but strangers as well. So if we take on that burden, the least the world could do is say thank you. People might not like that, but it is what it is. So you can pick a side. You can have the man hating rhetoric, the quasi feminism, all that on one side. And then the next breath say, why don't men open up more? Why don't men show more emotion? We need men to be better mentally. Those cannot coexist. And that's all there is to it. No one likes hearing that. And like I said, I'm not political, not red pill, but it's the truth. Those cannot coexist and expect, like, they can coexist, but you can't expect the men to actually get better. Think about it. So get your mind right.